record. It's interesting. All right, so share. So basically, like as we're going, we'll do every other. And then I'll just I'll pay attention and I'll click through the video or through the slides as we go. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah.
All
So
right.
for postcolonial poetry by Destiny and Amanda.
The agenda is what is post-colonial poetry, poetic characteristics, examples of notable poets with works, analysis of poems, compare and contrast, and the work cited.
Postcolonial poetry. What is it? The term postcolonial is defined as any permanent after every period after a group of
You're okay.
of people or countries in decolonized, which means that the previous conquering force has left either due to defeat or the people just leaving. Post-colonial poetry is who were formerly colonized and decided to write about the state of the country and or people before and after colonization. Colonization by defined by the action or process of settling among and establishing control over the indigenous people of an area.
Historical background, time period. When searching for time periods, it was found that it can be hard to pinpoint the beginning and the end of a colonial period. Why is post-colonial literature important? In our modern world, we can analyze these works, whether it is a poem or a book. This allows us to see into the lives and the struggles of those who dealt with colonization. It gives everyone a perspective of why colonization is something important to learn about and to hear the viewpoints of others who have experienced it.
Timeline: 15th century European colonization of Americans began and lasted until the 19th century. 20th century By the dawn of the 20th century, a vast majority of non-European regions were under European colonial rule. No, differing opinions. In all articles read, there are a lot of different opinions and when colonization has ended, and it truly has. The words for post-colonization now really portrays the after something has happened. 19th century. Ooh, I think I skipped one.
It's okay.
Sometime the ending colonization in the Americas and the peak of colonization in the American and Asia. And the 20th century continued. Non-European regions under European colonial rule would last after World War I, after anti-colonial interceptions, moments, to the designation of Africa, Asia, and Americas.
If you want, I'm going to read the next two because one's just a title and one's a list.
Okay.
Poetic characteristics. What are the characteristics of post-colonization poetry? Here is what you can expect when reading about post-colonization poetry. The future, the past, colonialism, nationalism, racism, family, cultural identity, change and transformation, freedom and independence, and oppression.
She spoke of those needing the white destroyer, shiny things to bring a feeling of worth into their lives, uttered their deep-rooted inferiority of soul, and called them lacking in the essence of humanity, womanhood in woman, manhood in man, for which deficiency they must crave things to eke out their beings. What is that word? Oh, things to fill holes in their spirits. 2000 Seasons.
Oh, sorry.
Neville published in 1973 by African author. Oh dear. How do you pronounce it?
I would probably say
Aikwe. Okay.
All right. Poetic techniques. Post-colonial poems speak on colonialism, nationalism, cultural identity, family, and many other subjects. Often the language that is used to describe the colonizers is the same language of their colonizers in an effort to speak plainly and clearly about the effects that colonialism has had on their country and culture. Some other techniques used is counter-narratives of resistance, rewriting history, asserting cultural identities through strategies such as separatism, nativism, cultural syncretism, mimicry, active participation, and assimilation.
Examples of notable quotes. Quotes that are associated with the post-colonialism poetry include Kishar Naid, We Similar Women, John Adams, Right On, and then Edwin Thumbo, Evening.
Poetic structure and themes. The identity of post-colonial literature is based on the pull of perspective. In each piece of work, there is an understanding of all the persons writing and their emotions their voice is able to carry, and that is what differentiates the narratives. Some of the themes we see from different authors is freedom. There was freedom in colonialism's wake, from the different turns to the words they use, all of it based on connection and you need to take to give. For both the colonized and the colonizer, freedom came for somewhat equality. Racism and oppression. Gender, race, class, and background were looked at from the get-go. Though they are attempting to communicate, the stereotype remained. Traditions are always what steer people because it is comfort, but it is these traditions for society that created post-colonial itself.
Overall impact on the reader. Social issues. Post-colonialism was an literary movement from the differences to its trends. It was not dictated by place, topic, or even writer, and was very important with the grasp of the literary movement. It showed the effects of how colonization of a group of people or a country can affect everything, including writers. Cultural issues. Post-colonialism has many cultural issues regarding their perspectives on others' lives and their own, from their region, traditions, and perspectives of family. This leads to pointing out the struggles of everyday life from the perspectives by those who are most affected during the colonialism periods. And the political issues. The novels that are presented along with the poets there are shaped from the perspective of those who have faced colonization, help the readers to understand the influence that colonialism has worldwide.
Examples of post-colonization poems. 2000 Seasons by Ai Kauai. We are going by Udeguru Nunakol. Post-colonial love poem by Natalie Diaz.
2000 Seasons, Ivy. She spoke of those needing the white destroyer, shining things to bring a feeling of worth into their lives, uttered the deep root inferiority of soul, and called them the lacking of essence of humanity. Homewood. Ooh, didn't we already do this one?
Yeah, I just realized I have it in here twice, so I'll revise the slides and then I'll take out the one piece because I think I was going to do something different than this, but then I decided to add it in.
Okay. And then do you want me to finish?
Yeah.
Okay. Womanhood and woman, manhood and man, for which deficiency they have must crave things to eke out their beings, things to fill holes in their spirits.
We are going. Udeguru Nunakol. They came into the little town, a semi-naked band, subdued and silent, all that remained of their tribe. They came here to the place of their old Bora ground, where now the many white men hurry about like ants. Notice of the estate agent reads, rubbish may be tipped here. The lightning bolt over Gaffenbaugh Hill, quick and terrible, and the thunder after him, that loud fellow.
Post-colonial love poem, Natalie Diaz. I have been taught that bloodstones can cure a snake bite, but can stop the bleeding. Most people forget about this. When the war ended, the war ended depending on which war you mean. Those we started, those before, millennium ago and onward. Those which we started, Native Americans make up less than 1% of America, 0.8% of 100%. Oh, my efficient country.
Analysis. All three poems and literature are by indigenous people from different areas. Each one speaks on the tragedy of colonization that they have experienced. The first piece, called The Thousand Seasons by I.E. Kwai, is a perfect example of how people who have experienced colonization have adapted to that culture because they had to. The next poem, We Are Going, is by Udeguru Nunakol, who is an Australian indigenous person. She experienced the loss of an area that a tribe would go to that had been taken over, and there's a feeling of loss that if something doesn't happen, that tribe's culture will be lost forever. And last is Postcolonial Love Poem by Natalie Diaz. She is a Native American writer and is more recent of an author who touches base on the way Native Americans are treated here in America. The wars that have been started can reference everything that happened most recently in our times and how they only make up a small portion of Americans. They are outnumbered as how that speaks to me, and yet they are constantly fighting to keep their culture alive.
Compare and contrast. A lot of people in literature that I read when working on this era compared to Beats poetry. It is about a time of great change. Both eras, while different because of what they write about, talk about great times. Post-colonization literature speaks of the times after control. We let go of the country, our people, whereas Beats talk about the freedom to love and be who you want to be. Whether that is gay or straight, or love and be who you want to be. Whether this is gay or straight, or whatever orientation they want. Both have the similar flow of being able to freely write and experience they have been through, and good or bad.
All right, and then this is our works cited, which I'm not gonna go over that. So I'm gonna stop screen sharing. And then I'm gonna stop the video. I will note that I will make the edits to the slides that need to be done. As far as like removing that one slide at least. Okay, and then I'll send it to you.
Yeah. All
All
right, thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. All right, the recording has stopped, I think.
Nope, it still says it's recording.
Well, that's interesting because, oh, it's did video.